It is recording. Before I switch off the camera, what I want to say is that talking about the Made in Italy staple, the Made in Italy love mark, what we will be examining today is the so-called COVID effect, which is not, of course, only for Made in Italy, but in general, what has happened lately when brands or love marks or countries have decided to go further into a market, because of course distribution has changed, above all in the last year. And what we're gonna examine is how Made in Italy has tried to approach its #1 market, which is the US market, even though they have been working also on the Chinese on one hand and Russian on the other hand market, because besides the American one, these are two very important markets that we want to keep in mind while talking about Made in Italy. Okay, so I'm going to disappear and leave space to the images. Okay, here we are. Let's get started. So first of all, what is the country of origin effect? I don't know if you ever heard about that, but the first thing to say is that talking about globalization, we know that globalization has somehow defined a new space for comparison of different kind of cultures and products. And this new space for confrontation can result in very different purchasing behavior. And there is a great variability in the ways in which products are associated with the country of origin. And depending on the category, of course, of products that we are taking into account, and also how the country of origin has an effect on the final purchasing decision. Okay, first of all, what is the country of origin effect? We know that when we use the made in staple, with made in Italy, made in France, made in USA, it means that customers can buy a product because it's associated with that specific country, above all for the fact that we are talking about a specific product. So talking about fashion being a made in Italy product, it is of course more relevant than being made in Romania or in Austria. And there are some countries, like for example Germany for the cars, Italy or France for both wine or fashion, for example, that have a very great influence on the purchase, on the final customer. While there are countries that make outstanding products, but actually are not really related with the country of origin. For example, if we think about Swarovski, how many people think of Austria? Because Swarovski is made in Austria, but not so many people associate the made in with that specific thing, you know. So this is an example, but just, you know, to stress how this makes the difference and it's related, of course, to the power of the country in that specific field. Of course, yes, in the marketing literature, this country of origin effect is known to determine both, of course, a positive or a negative effect in the customer's mind. Of course, we work for determining a positive effect. As I was telling to you before, there are some products, like for example, if we talk about champagne, champagne benefits from a superior image in the mind of the customer for the fact of being made in France. And it is even preferred over domestic products. Even in Italy, if you have to choose among Champagne and Prosecco, of course, you will favor a Champagne if there is a celebration, because in the mind of the customer, it is a higher product, is more considered. This is internationally wise, not only, of course, maybe the Italian market knows, let's say, the wine sector better than others, so probably there are so many great producers over here that we can make, we can really make the difference. But if you go in another country where there is not such a culture, they will surely prefer like Champagne because it's a certain allure. But for example, if we think of the Chinese products, the Chinese products are affected by negative stereotypes, and some of them are very difficult to eliminate. So this means that if you have to choose among a dress or a jewel that is made in China or in another country, you probably will look immediately for an alternative. Let's say a purchasing alternative. Why? Because the stereotype bound to the made in China effect is that of low quality, low price. These are the things that we associate, right it or not. So as I told you already, if you talk about Germany, you talk about cars. If you talk about Italy or France, or you think about fashion, luxury, or food, things like that. But of course, there is also the fact that the link between the product and the country of origin can sometimes be very irrational. And the bad thing about that is that perception of product damaged because bad influenced by their origin. Anyway, the fact that there has been a progressive, let's say, quality homogenization of products, the competitive pressure has been put by the low-cost producing countries, all those things, and also the diffusion of hybrid products, that you really don't know where they have been made, because it's like made in Europe. What does it mean, made in Europe? You don't associate with one country, and so it's like, let's say, a hybrid product. So this has somehow revitalized the country of origin effect as a driver to create value. So in today world, which is like probably like, let's say, connectivity driven, operating abroad, operating outside your country is not just a necessity, but it's really a must. And very, very often it is a must for firms that really want to survive on the market, because creating value in international market introduces new challenges, but these new challenges also require companies to search for possible sources of value, even for the most traditional sectors. This is something that is really needed nowadays. So according to several scholars, companies that base their offerings on products that are characterized by very strong link to a territory, and territories that are historically perceived as associated with these specific products, they can find in the country of origin a very strong strategic resource for value creation in many different markets. One very important thing is that we have to stress that we are talking about the digital age more than before. So in the digital age, if you think of that, geographical and cultural boundaries are very weak. So the fact that we want to stress the country of origin might be looked at something that cannot be a winning game, but it has been demonstrated that it is even online. Okay, now let's try to see the made in Italy effect on the export. Okay, we know that during 2020, because of the pandemic, even the export of made in Italy product has collapsed. But this has happened in all kinds of things in the economy in general, not only in Italy. But what we know and we are seeing already is that we have already started to see a new growth of the export for the made in Italy. And actually, the digital channels are the driving force behind this growth. The export of made in Italy products during 2020 has been minus 15% compared to 2019. But this year, it is estimated that it will grow by 9.3%. So it will almost recover all the gap we lost here. And it will continue to grow also in 2022 by almost 6%. So by 2022, we'll not only have recovered, but also overcome the loss that we had in 2020. And the growth will continue, at least, you know, these are the forecasts. So unless something else happens, okay, the forecast say that the growth of made in Italy continue by this year is going to be over 9.3%. Next year is going to be like 5.5, almost 6, and then it will continue at least 5% per year. And this will be increasingly linked to e-commerce. Italian companies to really pursue this kind of objective will have to become more competitive in the main outlet economies, and they have to look also to medium long-term opportunities. And among the markets to be covered, besides USA and China and Japan and Russia, they have to also keep in mind Germany, which is probably the most important market in Europe, South Korea, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, because they will really lead the growth of the market over 5% starting from 2021 if they will be taken into account. This may be in Italy a fact that I talk about, say, okay, has to be, let's say, driven by e-commerce, which is not very common and very simple for the Italian companies for a very specific reason. Which one, in your opinion? What is the reason why e-commerce is not a driver for the small and medium-sized enterprises in Italy? Do you have an answer, any of you? The one that has an answer, just switch on the audio and just answer. You know? Okay. Let's put it this way. First of all, I gave you the answer in my question because I stressed the fact that we're talking about of small and medium-sized enterprises, which is the dimension of the made in Italy producers. Because when we talk about made in Italy, we are talking about small companies, which are the main quantities of company on the Italian market. We don't have like big industries or conglomerates. We are specifically driven by the so-called small and medium-sized enterprises. So, of course, you know, the fact that we have this physical restriction and everything else, let's say that pushes people to use internet for their buying efforts. There has been a consumer survey that has been made by PricewaterhouseCoopers in 2020, and it says that almost 80% of consumers globally shop online, and of these, 1 in 5 shop exclusively online. They also say that the most used tool to buy online is the smartphone as a device. So people buy on the smartphone much more than they buy with any other device. So first is like the telephone, the smartphone with like 45% of users, and then the PC with like 40%, something like that. And at the end, we have the tablet, which is like 30%, something like that. But there is a huge number of people that still prefer to buy in store, above all for daily and weekly spending. So there are a very huge number of people, because it's 41% of the interviewed, that still want to buy, you know, in the stores every day or weekly, so for making courses and things like that, for sure. So the most what is most bought in online is for sure dresses, clothing, shoes, things like that. Beauty sector also is very much used, you know, these, and technology. These are the things that are mostly bought online. But you see here, I gave you some figures because it's kind of important. Of course, yes, 2020, due to the fact that we have been stuck at home without nothing to do but buying online. Of course, it has been the year in which companies have also invented a way to interact through digital events. All the events that were planned were then cancelled and then substituted with digital events. Of course, it's not the same thing. This is for sure. I can tell you that we're making researches also for our clients, and we are finding out that, of course, yes, clients are grateful to the brands for having, let's say, imagined something to do with them and for them during this period. But at the same time, nothing of the things that have been invented during this period can really substitute the physical experience. And nobody would continue to live these digital or phygital experiences. That's the truth. But still, you see, there are figures which are kind of shocking, like Alibaba's Global Shopping Festival. You know, it moves merchandise for 62 billion euros, and also the Black Friday had in the United States this year had like a plus 189% compared to the year before. And also, let's say that the Italian government trying to support Italian fashion business during the pandemic, has decided to build a digital platform that allows brands to connect directly with the US audience, buyers, retailers, press, and also of final consumers. And here we go. This is the platform I was talking to you about. EXTRAITASTYLE, which is the acronym for Extraordinary Italian Style, which has been launched just last September. And it is actually an idea that that has been pursued in order really to assist the small and medium-sized enterprises in finding growth. And this platform is actually designed to showcase engaging brand stories, animated 3Ds, and they have tried to make the experience as interactive as possible. And the reason why also I stress that it has been open to the final end customer is because they also can access the virtual boutiques, the brand sections, and of course my online. And actually, this is something very innovative, and above all for being open to the end customers. And talking about the American market, this is something also kind of logical. And let me explain you why, because we're talking about a huge territory. And a territory that, like we have, very different situation in every region, is exactly the same in US with the different for the different states. But what I mean is that we talk about territories in which certain brands are not even known by the so-called expert. I already told you, I remember that I told you that I was teaching at University of Minnesota, and my students were following a course on luxury goods, and I came up, I was in class, so it was a physical thing. I came up with the brand Salvatore Ferragamo. I'm talking about Salvatore Ferragamo. I'm not talking about Nasco Unico, which is amazing as a brand, but I mean, who knows it? Talking about Salvatore Ferragamo, and no one in the class ever heard about it. Why? Because in Minnesota, they have no stores selling Salvatore Ferragamo, very simply. So why EXTRAITASTYLE is so perfect for the American market? Because it can allow, first of all, a brand knowledge that still nowadays they do not have. This is crazy, I know, but in places like Michigan, Minnesota, Tennessee, places like this, I can swear to God, it's really hard to get to distribute even the big brands like Salvatore Ferragamo. Imagine the small made in Italy brands coming up with these new small and medium-sized enterprises. Okay, these are the so why is the EXTRAITASTYLE so important? Because it's really I want to stress it again, Italy continues to have small and medium-sized enterprise as a driving force, and all the data in Italy show the importance of the small and medium-sized enterprises in the national export. This is therefore a necessity to work in order to equip these companies to compete to the international markets. Otherwise, you know, it would be impossible for them to reach out this kind of customer. So this is the reason why we really need to build new ways of integrating the opportunities provided by digital also with these physical opportunities that will derive, because once the customer, the final customer, will know the brand, they probably want this brand, once the pandemic is over, to go there physically to be able to experience the brand as much as they can. So what are the challenges of the Italian fashion brand entering in the US market? Well, in the last, okay, now you know that this year is 70 years since the very special day at Palazzo Pitti in Sala Bianca when the Made in Italy was born. And for the last 70 years, the obsession of Italian brands has been to create distribution channels in local markets and in a local market which has a very specific penetration and for which the penetration revolved around physical store and physical goods. But today, above all, the American customers are pretty much digital, and they are very much preoccupied with investigating a brand storytelling, you know. So there are two things that is very important to stress while talking to American market: the storytelling importance for the clients, but not only this, the American customer are, let's say, increasingly concerned about quality. This is a very specific topic we have to keep in mind, so much that even price is becoming less relevant when we talk about good quality or more sustainable products. They are ready to pay a higher price to have great quality and sustainable products. So the Made in Italy staple is more and more so increasingly relevant for these customers. But we don't only have EXTRAITASTYLE as an e-commerce platform to enhance the Made in Italy love mark. We also have the Made in Italy Pavilion. Okay, the Made in Italy Pavilion is a B2B marketplace born from the Memorandum of Understanding signed by ICE, which is Istituto Commercio Estero, and Alibaba Group. And it is a unique project of its kind, and also the first in Europe that Alibaba has launched together with a government partner. So in this, Italy has been really the first mover on the market. And the partnership agreement was signed on last November, and this opens to Italian companies a virtual market of really enormous potential, because this allows the Italian companies to be in touch with directly Chinese and not only economic operators. And how is the Made in Italy Pavilion built? Because it has a specific way to be thought. In this first agreement are considered 300 companies. So initially there will be 300 companies that will have the chance to activate a premium membership on Alibaba, completely free of charge, thanks to the contribution of Istituto Commercio Estero, and to be included in the Made in Italy Pavilion for two years. And these will permit to these companies, 300 companies, to display their products directly to the over 26 million buyers that are in 190 countries and that are recently present on Alibaba.com. So you see, this is really something new for the Made in Italy staple to be enhanced and let's say distributed abroad. But, and there is a but, what about Europe? This is a question with which I leave you, and this is also something that I would like you to answer. Please do that. Answer to this question. What about Europe? We talk about Europe all the time. Europe puts the rules. Europe tells us if we can use this vaccine or not. Europe tells us how we have to spend our money. Europe tells us everything. But where is Europe now? We have Italy that has made 2 agreements. One is with Amazon, and the other one is with Alibaba. One is with the Americans, the other one is with the Chinese. These are the 2 biggest e-commerce platforms. My question is, and this is the same that Barbara Beltrame, who's the vice president on Confindustria, asked, where is Europe? Where is Europe to be the 3rd player? Why do we want it to have Europe? Europe had to be in between the power of the United States and the counterparty, which could be Russia sometimes, China sometimes, no matter whom sometimes. But Europe had to be in the middle to equilibrate this thing. Do we have like a European platform that can be a competitor with the Americans and the Chinese? Not of my knowledge. So maybe you know things I don't know. If so, please share your knowledge with me. If you do not have any other information, why don't you write down to me what you think about that and what you think Made in Italy could do to continue to stress this path towards the digital transformation and how we can help Made in Italy sell to other countries, to your own personal experience. So I'm very happy to have shared this information with you. Hope this was something that you didn't know, so that you know something new right now. Now I have to leave you because there is one of the students that discusses today her thesis. So she was the first master, always of the MIA University. And so I'm going to leave you and enter another section just to discuss her thesis. So I'll see you next week. And in the meanwhile, if you send me your replies about what about Europe, I would be more than happy to know what you think about that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, girls.
Thank you so much.
Getting better today.
Thank you.
Did you hear me better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Everything
But
very clear.
I missed half of it because I was
Sometimes
at work.
on. Amore. C'è la vocetta. There was a little voice. So was it your
Hello.
baby?
Sorry?
Hello?
Is it your baby?
No, it's not.
Okay, someone else's baby.
She's not. She's downstairs with the papa, so.
Can you hear? Hello?
Yes.
Hi, I missed half of it because I was at work and I'm driving right now. So I'm actually listening to you while driving. So is there like anything recorded or something that I can reach home and actually listen?
It's all
Okay.
recorded. Don't worry.
Okay, because I just heard part of it and I was just trying to understand while driving.
No, I can imagine.
You know?
I can imagine. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But we are recorded, so everything's gonna be easier for you. When you have time, you will see it. And once you are done rewatching this session, if you can, please just answer what about Europe yourself so that I can know your feedbacks and points of views, okay? Now I
Okay,
have to
no
go because
problem. Thank you so much for your
Okay, I
time.
will
See
do
you
that
next
for
time.
sure.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Thank you so much.